Hello everybody, I hope you all are being safe and staying indoors. We are coming to the part 2 of your second chapter. This has sentence types, direct, indirect and active and passive. Let us see what are the contents of this video. We are going to see firstly what is a phrase. Then we are going to understand what are the different types of phrases. The three phrases that we are going to cover are the most commonly used phrases in our day-to-day lives. They are the noun phrase, the verb phrase and a prepositional phrase. Then secondly, we will understand what is a complement. Under this, we will understand what are the three different types of complements. A subject complement, an object complement and a verb complement. Then we will understand what is a clause. Under this, we will differentiate between what is a main clause and a subordinate clause. And then we will move on to different types of clauses. Now, there are n number of different types of clauses. But we are only going to study three, which are the main ones. They are the noun clause, the adjective clause and an adverb clause. Then, based on sentence structures, we will understand the types of sentences. The simple sentence, a compound sentence and a complex sentence. There is another type which is the compound complex sentence. I have not added it separately on this slide because it is a combination of a compound sentence and a complex sentence. Okay, so let us begin. We will read first what is there on the slide. We will read the definition and then I will explain to you what a phrase is. A phrase is a group of words that stands together as a single grammatical unit, typically as a part of a clause or a sentence. Okay. Just let us quickly remember what was a sentence. The definition of a sentence is also similar. It was what? It is a group of words that makes complete sense, right? But here what we are seeing is a phrase is a group of words that is standing together as a single grammatical unit. It is a group of words that is together and it is a part of a clause or a sentence. So it is not a complete sentence. It is a small part of a sentence. Okay. Let us see what is the next thing on the slide. A phrase does not contain a subject and verb and consequently cannot convey a complete thought. Okay, let me explain this in detail. What does it mean when you say that a sentence makes complete sense on its own? Means that the sentence has a subject and a predicate. Now, what is a predicate? A predicate is something that is giving us more information about the subject. It has the verb also. So now a phrase does not have a subject and a verb. Means a phrase does not have a subject and a predicate. Or it may have a subject but not the predicate, or it may have the predicate but not the subject. So you're understanding, this is the main difference, that a phrase will not contain a subject and a predicate together. Okay. The example that we have given is my cousin Smita eats cakes daily. Now we have underlined my cousin Smita. So my cousin Smita is the phrase in this sentence. Why? Because my cousin Smita is the subject in this sentence. Correct? And eats is your verb. But we have not taken the verb together, like, because it is a phrase. We will only underline my cousin Smita. I will tell you more information about a phrase. I would advise you that you please sit with a pen and paper or wherever you make your notes, because there will be a lot of examples which I am going to tell which are not there in your slides. So it will be better if you can just sit with a pen and paper. Okay, so a phrase can be found anywhere. It can be at the beginning, it can be in the middle, or it can be at the end of a sentence. A phrase may not contain a subject or a verb or both. Therefore, a phrase may have a meaning but it does not convey a complete thought. A sentence may contain more than one phrase. Okay. I will give you one example. It is not there on the slides. So if you want, you can write it down. Let us see. For example, a tall girl was standing near me. Now there are three phrases in this entire sentence. Let us underline. A tall girl, this is your first phrase. Was standing is your second phrase, and near me becomes your third phrase. There are several kinds of phrases, but the most prominent ones or the most common ones are as follows. Noun phrase, a verb phrase, and a prepositional phrase. So let us understand what is a noun phrase. A noun phrase is one or more words work together to give more information about a noun. Okay. So they are nothing but one or more words that are giving you or that are describing a noun in that particular phrase. Let us see the example. Raj forgot Anjali's birthday. Basically, what is a noun? Noun is a naming word. It names what? A person, a thing, an animal, or a place, right? So Raj forgot Anjali's birthday. We have underlined Anjali's birthday. Why? It is the noun phrase. Let us understand how. Raj forgot. Raj forgot what? He forgot Anjali's birthday. And what is Anjali's birthday? It is nothing but a naming word, right? It forgot Anjali's birthday. He forgot Anjali's birthday. Anjali is a noun, proper noun, and birthday is nothing but also a noun. It is naming a day in a person's life, right? So Anjali's birthday becomes your noun phrase. To better understand this, I will tell you a noun phrase begins with a noun or a pronoun or other related words. Example, that magnificent house was built by my great grandfather. Okay, great grandfather. Now we will understand how or and where the noun phrase is. Which house are we talking about? We are talking about that magnificent house. So that magnificent house is becoming your noun phrase, okay? And also was built by whom? Was built by my great grandfather. So this is also your noun phrase. A noun phrase has words in the following pattern. So we will see what is the structure of a noun phrase. Please write it down. I have not put this on the slides. It is determiners plus noun. Now what are determiners? Determiners are nothing but your articles. The, a and an. So a noun phrase, the first structure is determiners plus noun, which becomes the child. Or it could be modifiers plus noun. Modifiers are nothing but words that are giving you more information about the noun. And thirdly, it could be determiners plus modifiers plus noun. Okay. So what are modifiers? I have told you. So this is both. It is determiners also plus modifiers also and plus the noun also. For example, determiners plus noun, the example would be the child. I am talking about a specific child. Modifiers plus noun, I am talking about a tall child. Okay. So it is giving you more information about the child. How is that child? The child is very tall. And then determiners plus modifiers plus noun. How will you say? You will say the tall child. So there could be 3 or 4 tall children. But now I am talking about this specific, the tall child. I am talking about this one particular tall child. So understanding the difference. Okay. Let us see some questions that I have made for you so that you can better understand what is a noun phrase. Let us read. There are 6 sentences. You may write these down if you want and try to solve them on your own. If you want, you can pause the video and solve them, and then in the next slide I have given answers. So Anjali likes reading books about animals. What does Anjali like? Anjali likes reading books about animals. So about animals is becoming your noun phrase. How come? Because it is giving you more information about the kind of books that she likes to read. Okay, so it is giving you more information about the noun books, about animals, right? Okay. Helping your friends is good. What is good? Helping your friends. So your friends is your noun phrase, right? He wished to talk to his manager. He wished to talk to whom? To his manager. His manager is your noun phrase. It is a naming word. His manager. I will never do such a thing. What will I not do? Such a thing. So I am talking about a specific thing. So such a thing is your noun phrase. He refused to answer my question. He refused to answer what? He refused to answer my question. So my question is your noun phrase. Why do you want to meet him? Why do you want to meet whom? Him. So why do you want to meet him? Meet him is your noun phrase. Okay. Okay. Let us see the answers. I have underlined whatever is the noun phrase. So you can just check once if you've solved it. Let us move on to a verb phrase. Now a verb phrase consists of a main verb and one or more helping verbs linked together. What are your helping verbs? Your helping verbs are the different forms of to be. I am, he is, she is. These are all your linking verbs. Helping verbs or linking verbs. Okay. They serve as the predicate of a sentence or clause. The verb phrase defines the different times of the action. Times means what? It shows that according to the tense, the verb is also going to change. So a verb phrase is a combination of the main verb and the helping verb in a sentence. So whenever, one small trick I'll tell you, whenever you see a group of verbs which are clubbed together in one big chunk, it becomes your verb phrase. Let us understand the example. She was walking quickly to the mall. Was walking quickly. Now was is your helping verb and walking is your main verb. So one chunk of verbs you are seeing together, was walking becomes your verb phrase. Ted might eat the cake. Might is your modal verb and eating is your main verb. So might, eat, chunk of verbs together becomes your verb phrase. Let us see some questions on verb phrase. Again, there are 6 sentences. If you want, you can pause the video, try to solve it on your own. And then I am solving it also here online. My mother is fixing us dinner. What is my mother doing? She's fixing us dinner. So is fixing, 2 verbs together. Is your helping verb. Fixing is your main verb. So is fixing dinner. Is fixing is your verb phrase. You have woken everyone up. Have woken, chunk of verbs together becomes your verb phrase. The teacher is writing a report. Is writing, chunk of verbs together. Is your helping verb. Writing is your main verb. You must go right now. Must is your modal verb and go is your main verb. So must go verbs together is your verb phrase. You can't eat that. Can't eat. Can't is your modifying verb and eat is your main verb. So chunk of verbs together becomes your verb phrase. Sham must have been eating a chocolate. Must have been eating. All are verbs. So this big thing, 4 words together is your verb phrase. Must is your modal verb. Have been, main verb and modifying verb. And eating is also again your main verb. Understanding? So let us see the answers. My mother is fixing us dinner. So I have underlined all the verb phrases. Just pause for a second if you want and underline and check your answers. Let us move on to a prepositional phrase. Now, before we move on, just one second. I forgot to tell you the pattern. So let us see. The pattern in a verb phrase is how? It is helping verb plus main verb, right? Or it could be helping verb plus modifiers plus the main verb. For example, the first example, helping verb plus main verb, has been lying. So has been is your helping verb and main verb is lying. Helping verbs plus modifiers plus main verb. The example is has not been lying. Has is your helping verb, not is your modifier and been lying becomes your main verb, right? Let us move on to a prepositional phrase. before we understand a prepositional phrase, we need to quickly revise what is a preposition. So preposition is nothing but a word that gives you a specific or direct location about the subject or the object in a sentence, right? And what is a prepositional object? A prepositional object is nothing but a noun or pronoun that directly follows the preposition. So once you understand this, prepositional phrase is at your fingertips. So let us see. A prepositional phrase includes a preposition, its object, and any modifiers of the object. The preposition's object is nothing but the noun or pronoun that follows the preposition. Let us see the example. We stayed at the cabin by the river. Where did we stay? We stayed at the cabin by the river. So by is your preposition. It is telling you we stayed at the cabin which was by the river. Specific location it is giving you. And the store at the corner sells sandwiches. Which store? The one at the corner. Very specific location they are telling you, right? So at the corner is your prepositional phrase. How come? Because at is your preposition and the corner is your preposition's object. It is a noun or pronoun that is following the preposition. Therefore it becomes your prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase will always begin with a preposition and it will end with a noun or a pronoun. Okay? I will give you another example, not there on the slides. If you want, write it down. My uncle Ranjit and his wife Radha are doctors at a private hospital. At a private hospital is your prepositional phrase. How come? Because at is your preposition and the noun or the pronoun at a private hospital. Private hospital is your noun. It is following your preposition. So it becomes your prepositional phrase. Understanding? Okay. So the pattern of a prepositional phrase will be preposition plus the object of the preposition, right? A preposition is made up of words that revolve around the main word called the head word, and the head word determines the nature of the phrase. Every phrase has a head word. To explain this in a better way, let us take one example. It is not there on the slide, so please write it down. It is most of the villagers have assembled for the meeting. Let us break this sentence in three parts. Most of the villagers. So in this first part, whom are we talking about? We are talking about villagers. So this becomes your noun phrase. Have assembled. Have assembled. What is your main part? Assembling, right? Main verb is assembling and have is your linking verb. So this becomes your verb phrase. For the meeting. For is your preposition. So for the meeting becomes your prepositional phrase. Getting it? Let us move on to complement. Now, a lot of students, let us move on to questions on prepositional phrases. There are 6 questions. If you again want, pause the video and do it, or we will do it here right now together. I adopted a black cat with white paws, right? So with white paws. With is your preposition. When you get to the sign, take a left. When you get where? To the sign. So to is your preposition. So to the sign is your prepositional phrase. We climbed up the hill to see the view. We climbed up where? Up the hill. So up is your preposition. Up the hill. The sun rose over the mountain. Where did it rise? Over the mountain. So over is your preposition and phrase is over the mountain. The boy with him is his son. Which boy? The one with him. With him is your prepositional phrase. The bracelet in the storefront window is the one that I want. Which bracelet? In the storefront window. So in the storefront window is the prepositional phrase. In is your preposition, right? You can see the answers. I have underlined them. Just take a moment and check. Are you all done? Let us move on to understanding what is a complement. The thing is, I know in all these years that students often get confused between a direct object and a complement. They don't understand the difference. So now, after this explanation, you will be so sure, you will never get confused, okay? But you have to listen very carefully. Let us understand. What first is written on the slide we will read and then I will explain. A word or word group that completes the meaning of a subject, an object or a verb is called a complement. Okay. First of all, let us understand what is the sentence structure in English language. What is your sentence structure? It is subject plus verb and then it will be plus object or complement, or both also it can be. Now, how will you know whether it is an object or a complement? Let us take two examples. One is there in the slide, one is not there. So parallelly you write it down, then I can explain better. Ram is a boy, okay? And you take another example, you write Ram has a ball. Now read the first sentence. Ram is a boy. Can you substitute a boy with Ram? You can, because that is the quality of Ram, or that is who Ram is. He is a boy. But can you substitute Ram with a ball? No, because Ram is different and a ball is different. So a boy becomes your complement. How come? Because you can substitute it with your subject, or it is giving you more information about your subject. But a ball is you cannot substitute that with Ram. It is two different things. So that becomes your direct object. Are you understanding? If it is giving you more information about your subject, or if it is same as your subject, then it is your complement. If they are two different things or two different persons, then it is an object. As simple as that. A noun that is coming after the verb in a sentence, if it is different from your subject, then it is 100% an object. Listen carefully, I'll repeat. A noun that is coming after the verb in a sentence, if it is different from your subject, then it is an object. Understood? A complement completes sense, right? It is adding more information or giving more qualities or describing, right? A noun which is coming after the verb, if it is the same as our subject, then it is a complement. Getting? We will understand. I'll not do the last two examples. We will do them when we understand an object complement and a verb complement. So let us move on to understanding a subject complement. A subject complement is what? It is giving us more information about the subject, and it is a word or a phrase that follows the linking verb and identifies or describes the subject. Let us see the example. Ben is a policeman. Can you substitute a policeman with Ben in this sentence? You can, because it is giving you more information about who Ben is, right? So Ben is equal to policeman. So it is your subject complement. Now, your hair smells wonderful. It is giving us more information about your subject. What is your subject? Your hair is your subject in this sentence. So your hair is equal to wonderful. Can I say that? Yes. Correct? Because it is the same as my hair. My hair, it is describing the quality of my hair. It is telling me that my hair smells wonderful. So your hair smells wonderful. So it is your subject complement. Now let us move on to understanding what is an object complement. First of all, before we understand object complement, let us quickly revise what is an object. Now, an object is that thing or that person which is receiving the action. I repeat myself, which is receiving the action of the verb. Okay, that is your object. That is a direct object rather. Now, an object complement is a noun or a pronoun or an adjective that follows a direct object to rename it or state what it has become. Means what? Basically, it is the direct object. Okay. It is a noun or a pronoun or an adjective that is following a direct object. And what it does, it is either renaming that particular direct object or it is giving us more information about that direct object. Let us see the example, then it will become more clear. But first of all, from the above definition, it becomes clear that after reading the sentence, you first need to identify what? That your direct object. Once you understand what your direct object is, you will immediately know whether it is an object complement. Let us see the example. I found the guard sleeping. Now, I is your subject, found is your verb, and I found whom? I found the guard. So, the guard is my direct object. Clear? Now, how did I find the guard? In what condition? In sleeping condition. So, it is giving me more information about what? It is giving me more information about guard, and it is not giving me more information about I. Understood? So, therefore, it becomes your object complement and not your subject complement. Let us see the next one. We all consider her unworthy of the position. Now, we all is your subject. Consider is your verb. Her. Her is some other person. It is not the same as we. So, her is becoming my object. And unworthy of the position is giving me more information about her. It is not giving me information about we. Therefore, it becomes your object complement. Tanya. Chocolate makes Tanya happy. Chocolate is your subject. Makes is your verb. And Tanya is your direct object. Because chocolate is making whom happy? It is making Tanya happy. So, Tanya is your direct object. And then happy. How does it make Tanya? It makes her happy. It is the condition that is related to Tanya and not chocolate. Therefore, it becomes your object complement. We will understand now what is a verb complement. This is a direct or indirect object of a verb. It may be a noun, pronoun or a word group acting as a noun. Okay. So, I helped him to leave. Again, you have to understand what is your object in this sentence. I helped him to leave. Him is my direct object because I helped whom? I helped him. To do what? To leave. So, to leave is your verb complement. I stopped for the child. The child is my direct object. To cross the street. So, it is, why did I stop? To cross the street, right? So, to cross the street is my verb complement. Understanding? Here I have underlined wrong things. So, to leave is your verb complement and to cross the street is your verb complement. I hope you all are clear. Let us move on to understanding what are clauses. Okay. A clause is nothing but a group of words which contains a subject and a predicate, and they are called a clause. A clause can make complete sense on its own or it may form a part of a sentence. Okay. So the first thing that a clause must have is both. It must have a subject also and a predicate also. Okay. And it can make complete sense on its own or it can be a part of a sentence or it may not give you complete information. But it will still have a subject and a predicate. Let us see the examples. I like horror films. I is your subject. Like horror films is your predicate. I like horror films which are based on true stories. Now, I like horror films itself is giving you complete information. Which are based on true stories. If I remove I like horror films, that is not giving me complete information. But still, are based on true stories. So, here, films is your subject. Okay. Are based on true stories. Are is your verb and the remaining part is your predicate, right? So, it has both. It has a subject also and a predicate also. So, still giving complete information. To understand this better, let us first understand what is a main clause and a subordinate clause. A main clause is also called an independent clause. Why? Because by itself it can make complete sense. It can stand alone. Okay. So a main clause has a subject and a predicate and can stand by itself as a complete sentence. Let us see the example. He has a chain of gold. He is your subject, has is your verb, and it is giving you complete information about the chain of gold. Reena lives in London. Reena is your subject, lives is your verb, and in London is your predicate. So giving complete information. Okay. Now let us understand what is a subordinate clause or a dependent clause. A subordinate clause also consists of a subject and a predicate, but it does not make complete sense on its own. It is dependent on the main clause for the reader to understand it fully. Okay. Means what? Means it is a part of a sentence which is not going to make complete sense on its own. It is dependent on some other part of the sentence to make complete sense. But it will still have a subject and a predicate. Let us understand looking at the example. He has a chain which is made of gold. Now he has a chain is your main clause, giving you complete information. Which is made of gold, not giving complete information. But if read together in that sentence, it makes sense. So which is made of gold is your subordinate clause. Because which is talking about the chain. So chain is your subject, is your verb, and made of gold is your remaining part or the predicate. This is the place where the accident happened. The accident happened is giving you complete information, right? Some accident has happened. This is the place where it does not give any information. Okay. So that is your subordinate clause. Or you can even say this is the place is your main clause and where the accident happened is your subordinate clause. This is the place giving complete information. But where the accident happened is not giving you complete information. So where the accident happened is your subordinate clause. Okay. Then now we will understand the difference between a phrase and a clause. First of all, a phrase does not have a subject and a predicate together. It may either have a subject or it may only have a predicate, or it may not have both. That is what is a phrase. And therefore it does not make complete sense on its own. Okay. But a clause has both. It has a subject also and it has a predicate also, and it is capable of making complete sense on its own. This is the main difference between a phrase and a clause. So please don't get confused. I have given 3 examples. He is sleeping on the bed. He is sleeping. It conveys complete information on its own. It has both subject also, predicate also. So that is a clause. But on the bed is your phrase. She is drawing a map on the wall. She is drawing a map gives complete information, has subject also, predicate also. But on the wall is a phrase because it does not have a subject. It does not have a verb. Okay. She is waiting at the door. She is waiting gives complete information, has subject and predicate. At the door is your part of the sentence which does not make complete sense on its own, and it does not have a subject also and a predicate also. Therefore, she is waiting is your clause and at the door is your phrase. This is the basic difference between a phrase and a clause. Let us move on to understanding the different types of clauses. We are only going to do 3 because that is what your module is doing. So I will also do that. A noun clause. Firstly, what is a noun clause? A noun clause is a clause that plays the role of a noun. Similar to a noun phrase, right? But that was also doing a function of a noun in a sentence. But this will have both, right? It will have a subject also and a predicate also. Let us see. Lots of noun clauses start with that, how, or a WH word. WH words are what, who, which, when, where, or why. Let us see the example. I know that the story is true. I know is making complete sense on its own, main clause. That the story is true, not making complete sense on its own, therefore it is your subordinate clause. Now, the trick to understanding whether it is a noun clause is very simple. What will you do? You will first read the sentence. Then you will mark your main clause and your subordinate clause. Then read the main clause and ask the question what. Ask the question what. And if you get the subordinate clause as an answer to your what, then it is a definitely 100% noun clause and nothing else. Let us see. I know what? I know that the story is true. Okay. And I understand. Giving complete information. So it can be a main clause by itself. And then why it was necessary. I understand. What do I understand? Why it was necessary. So why it was necessary is becoming my noun clause. A noun clause is nothing but a clause performing the function of a noun in a complex sentence. Let us not go to complex sentence, but we will understand that it is performing the function of a noun. I will give you one more example. Take it down, it is not there in the slide. I don't remember when he left. Now underline your main clause and your subordinate clause, or put brackets, whatever is convenient. I don't remember. Main clause. When he left is your subordinate clause. I don't remember what. What do I not remember? I don't remember when he left. So giving you an answer to your what question. So it is 100% a noun clause, right? Let us understand what is an adjective clause now. Adjective clause means what? What is an adjective? Adjective is something, a word, which gives you more information about a noun or a pronoun. So adjective clause is also same. It is a dependent clause that, like an adjective, modifies a noun or a pronoun. Now I'll tell you the trick to identifying whether it is an adjective clause or an adverb clause also. A lot of students are often confused between how to identify a relative clause. Relative clause means adjective clause. Adjective clause is also called as relative clause. So the trick is, let us first understand. The film which you recommended scared the kids. The film scared the kids. If you write it down like this, is making complete sense on its own. So it could be your main clause. Which you recommended, not making complete sense. So it is your dependent clause. Mark's dog that ate the chicken is looking guilty. Mark's dog is looking guilty is making complete sense on its own. But that ate the chicken is not making. So Mark's dog is looking guilty is your main clause. And that ate the chicken is your subordinate clause. Now, to understand this in a better way, we will understand what are relative pronouns. What are relative pronouns? Relative pronouns are your who, whose, whom, which, that, all these words. And what are relative adverbs? Relative adverbs are when, where, why, how. Okay. Now, listen carefully. If there is a noun before the relative adverb, then it is an adjective clause. Why? Because adjectives qualifies a noun. Okay. Now relative adverb in the first sentence. What is the relative adverb? Which. Which is your relative adverb. Now before that adverb, what is coming? The film. The film is what? A noun. So this is 100% an adjective clause. Next sentence. Mark's dog that ate the chicken is looking guilty. That is your what? Relative pronoun in this sentence, right? So relative adverb or a relative pronoun, both. Uske pehle what is coming? Mark's dog. Now what is Mark's dog? It is a noun. This is therefore 100% an adjective clause. I'll repeat my sentence. If there is a noun before the relative adverb or a relative pronoun, then it is an adjective clause. For sure, 100%, without a doubt, you will choose adjective clause. Okay? 100% clear? Let us see what is an adverb clause. To understand adverb, what is adverb in Hindi or Marathi? It is Kriya Visheshan. Means what? Kriya is your verb. Visheshan is your adjective. Means it is giving more information about your verb. It adds meaning to your verb, it adds meaning to your adjective, or it gives more information about your adverb, right? So to understand an adverb clause, first we'll understand adverb. I'll give you examples. If they're not there on the slides, you can write if you want. He runs fast. Now fast is your giving you what? It is giving you more information about running. Running is your verb. So here fast is your adjective, right? But it is giving more information about running, verb. So that therefore it is acting like an adjective in this sentence. He runs very fast. Now fast is again giving information about running, and very. How fast? Very fast. More stress it is giving. And Ram is very intelligent. Intelligent is what? Adjective. And very. How intelligent? Very. So that adverb is very. So this is what an adverb does in a sentence. An adverb clause is a dependent clause that functions like an adverb. An adverb does what? It modifies or describes a verb, an adjective, or another verb, another adverb, sorry. So you realize what I told you before. That is the definition. Let us see the example. As soon as I saw you, I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong makes complete sense in itself. Therefore, it is your main clause. As soon as I saw you. Does it make complete sense? No. And as soon as ke pehle, is there a noun? No. So, the 100% this is your adverb clause. The day felt long because we had nothing to do. The day felt long makes sense in itself. So, your main clause. Because we had nothing to do is your adverb clause. Subordinate clause. Because ke pehle. Is there a noun coming? No. So, this is your 100% your adverb clause. Also, most of your adverb clauses will begin with words like as soon as, because, though, although, if, until. So this is also another way of identifying whether it is an adverb clause. I'll give you one more example. The teacher punished the boy because he stole a pen. Now, the teacher punished the boy because he stole a pen. Because is giving us more information about what? It is giving us more information about punished. Why was he punished? Because he stole a pen. So therefore it becomes an adverb clause. Even though there is a noun before because, the boy. What is the information about? About being punished. So punished is your verb, main verb. So therefore this becomes an adverb clause. Understanding? You need to understand what the subordinate clause is giving you more information about. Here it is giving about punished, verb punished. Okay. Therefore it is an adverb clause and not an adjective clause. Okay. Now let us move on to understanding the different types of sentences. In the previous video also we had done different types of sentences, but they were based on the kind of sentences that they were, whether it was a question wala sentence, whether it was an exclamatory sentence, or whether it was a command wala sentence, right? But here we are going to see the sentence structure, because now we have understood what is a clause, correct? So let us see. A simple sentence. What is a simple sentence? As its name suggests, it's very easy to understand. There is only what? A few words. It will usually be a very short sentence. So a simple sentence is a sentence that consists of just one independent clause. A simple sentence has no dependent clauses. So no dependent clause will be there. Sada, simple, straight, independent clause. By itself it will make meaning. I walk and I cannot drink warm milk. These are your examples. I walk is making complete sense. There is a subject, there is a predicate, there is a verb, everything is there. I cannot drink warm milk. I is your subject, cannot drink is your verb. Warm milk is giving you more information, that is your object. So giving more information has all the necessities of being a sentence, and there is no dependent clause. So therefore this is a simple sentence. Now let us understand what is a compound sentence. A compound sentence is a sentence with at least two independent clauses. So realize here also no dependent clauses are coming in picture. We are talking until now only about independent clauses. So simple sentence has only one independent clause. Compound sentence has at least two independent clauses. I drink green tea, but they drink coffee. So I drink green tea makes complete sense on its own, and they drink coffee is also making complete sense on its own. So two independent clauses are present. Therefore, this becomes a compound sentence. I like tea and he likes ice cream. So I like tea is your independent clause and he likes ice cream is your second independent clause. So at least two independent clauses have to be present in a sentence for it to be a compound sentence. Realizing? Let us move on to understanding what is a complex sentence. Now, complex sentence में dependent clause का picture है. So, a complex sentence will have one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. So, इसमें दोनों होना चाहिए, independent clause भी होना चाहिए and dependent clause भी होना चाहिए. Let us read the example. When the cake is brown, take it out of the oven. Take it out of the oven is making complete sense even on its own. Subject भी है, predicate भी है, verb भी है, everything is there, right? But when the cake is brown is not making complete sense on its own, so that becomes your dependent clause. Both the necessities are fulfilled for it to be a complex sentence. One independent is there and one dependent is there. Similarly, stay in the bath until the phone rings. Stay in the bath makes complete sense on its own, so your independent clause, and until the phone rings is your dependent clause. Therefore, it becomes a complex sentence. Both the things are satisfied. Independent clause bhi hai and dependent clause bhi hai. Okay. Now, we will see what is a complex compound sentence. Complex compound sentence means what? It is a combination of compound sentence and a complex sentence. मतलब दोनों भी होना चाहिए, independent भी होना चाहिए and dependent clause भी होना चाहिए. It is the most complicated type of a sentence. Usually, these kinds of sentences are very long. So let us understand. It has at least two independent clauses and one dependent clause. Two independent clauses का condition कहाँ से आया? Compound sentence से. And at least one dependent clause का condition कहाँ से आया? Complex sentence से. So therefore, this becomes a compound complex sentence. Let us look at the example. She likes to sleep in, but she can get up early if she has work. So she likes to sleep in is your first independent clause. She can get up early is your second independent clause. But if she has work is your dependent clause. So both the conditions satisfied. Two independent clauses there, there. One dependent clause there, there. So compound complex sentence. Usually, I take a walk every day while the sun sets. But it was raining today. Okay. Let us see carefully. Usually, I take a walk every day becomes your first independent clause. It was raining today becomes your second independent clause. While the sun sets, but this is not giving complete information on its own. So, this becomes your dependent clause. Getting? So, this is a very simple way of understanding. For simple sentence में क्या होता है? Only one independent clause is there. Compound sentence में क्या होता है? At least two independent clauses have to be there. And complex में क्या होता है? At least one independent and at least one dependent होना चाहिए. And complex में what is the condition? At least two independent and one dependent, right? So simple. If you want, we can make a small chart and write it like this. How many independent and how many dependent, right? Okay. So that brings us to the end of this video.